So I've been talking about alternate shells for Windows 3.x in the past episodes, but I didn't look yet into Xerox's take on Windows shells. They had no less than two shells that we are going to look into today. Retrocomputing is the use of older computer hardware and software in modern times. I'm the vintage collector and these are my stories. Xerox, who most will associate with multifunction printing and document management, was very influential in the evolution of computing technology. Xerox's Palo Alto Research Center, also known as Xerox PARC, brought along many influential inventions, most notably in 1973 the Xerox Alto system, which featured the very first ever graphical UI, Ethernet networking, and the invention of the mouse as a computer input device. Needless to say that both Apple and Microsoft drew inspiration from the Xerox Alto to create their user interfaces. Xerox PARC eventually spun off Xsoft, which was focusing on developing software products from which we saw three. Listen, we're not going to talk about Global View today. Even though it is a graphical UI that was released for Windows 3.x and Windows 95,
what about Windows Me?
It is not strictly speaking a UI, or to be more precise, a Windows shell replacement in its own right. Global View, which was also available on Solaris, is more like an emulation of the Xerox XAR workstation operating software and came with an entire suite of application software. Let's focus on Xerox Rooms, which added the metaphor of individual rooms to Windows 3.x. Released in 1992, it didn't really replace the program manager but was supposed to be run side by side to it. It added the concept of virtual desktops by representing them as rooms. The overlay, as shown here, was like the artificial super room, where you put an application into that you want to have available in all other rooms at any time. The program manager would be a good example to that. If you wouldn't do that and enter a room where there's no program manager, then there's no way to start programs within that individual room or desktop for that sake. Of course, you can always go back to the overview, choose another room with the program manager in it, go back and move then the running application into another room, but that's actually too cumbersome. For that, you could actually create buttons within any given room and point them to programs, like here for the DOS command prompt. So in essence, even if rooms will not fully replace Program Manager, you could easily create an office room with buttons inside that would point to Word and Excel as an example. This way, when entering the office room, you could start Word and Excel directly within that given room. And that shows as well that rooms was indeed just a metaphor for virtual screens or virtual desktops, allowing you to group and organize your running applications in a meaningful way. When you're inside such a room, you get some additional desk icons with so-called doors that either lead back to the overview or, if you link a room to another, allow you to go directly into another room. Personally, I find the concept too complicated as it needs too much tailoring, and definitely prefer the much simpler virtual screens as known from the Unix world. Having said that, I've failed to find numbers on how big the installed base for Rooms for Windows ever was. This is very much in contrast to the next Xerox product, Tabworks, which was said to have up to 6 million installations worldwide. This huge number came mostly because Tabworks was bundled with Compaq and NEC computer systems. I never had the chance to experience Tabworks myself until I saw it the first time ever in summer 2023 when I restored this Compaq Presario 520 using a Compaq Restore CD. Tabworks was released in 1993, so 1 year after Rooms for Windows. Already during the setup, it will ask you to replace the Windows shell and even the Windows Task Manager if you so choose to. On first startup, it would then present itself as a metaphor of a notebook and offer right away to import the Program Manager groups. Henceforth, the Program Manager groups will be represented by the sideways tabs. Beneath the Contents tab, you'll find an index list of all currently installed programs. It doesn't offer context menus, but will open the Item Properties dialog when right-clicking on an item. Within each tab you can create new pages for furtherly arranging your program items beneath. Tabworks also provides you a quick launch toolbar on the left hand side onto which you can simply drag and drop your program items. Though as you can see, it won't create a copy but move them out from the tab onto the toolbar. As mentioned, Tabworks brings also a replacement for the task switcher, which has some neat features. Not only can it arrange existing windows by cascading or tiling them, but it has also these Pref and Next buttons which allow you to flip through the applications similar to what you can do via Alt-Tab. What's very unique though is the minimized icon of the task switcher. It contains small icon glyphs, especially the left and right arrows, which are indeed functional and achieve the same effect for switching forth and back between applications. As mentioned before, Compaq bundled this with their machines at the time, and here's the German OEM version of Tabworks. However, aside from the branding on the info dialog and the cover page, there's no difference to what you have seen. Eventually, Xsoft sold off Tabworks to Citadel Computer Systems in 1996, who then brought along the updated version 2.5 for Windows 95. Though besides the tw32.exe binary, it no longer brought along its own task switcher. Also gone was the menu option still present in version 1.x, which allows you to configure it as a Windows shell. Now, as mentioned in an earlier episode, this goes along with Microsoft's new OEM guidelines which prohibited any third-party supplier to alter or replace the default Windows shell. So aside from an updated look that also introduced a toolbar with quick access to drives and printers, it now also featured an option to flip the notebook to horizontal tabs.
This is all well and good, but does it run on Windows Me?
And yes, of course, it also runs on Windows Me. What did you think about it? And was any one of you actually ever working with either Rooms for Windows or Tabworks, maybe even on Windows 95? Let me know in the comments below. I'm the Vintage Collector and this was my story for today. Thanks for watching and see you again next Sunday.